Relations on the Warsaw-Kiev line must be built on historical truth. Therefore, it is necessary to carry out the exhumation and Christian burial of the victims of the Volhynia massacre. The Ukrainian side, however, has for years put an unacceptable condition in the form of the restoration of the Ukrainian insurgent army monument in the Subcarpathian region. Now, Prime Minister Donald Tusk has signalled that Poland is ready to make concessions. All signs point to the Podcarpathia monument. How does the past affect today's politics? Ukraine has been pushing for years for the restoration of monuments to the Ukrainian insurgent army on Polish soil, as Ukrainian Foreign Minister Andrzej Sybiha confirmed in a recent interview. Now Prime Minister Donald Tusk has spoken of some concessions from Poland. We find a common language also and methods of joint action when it comes to the issue of the Volhynian crime. All these issues are sensitive and dramatic in our history. They require empathy on the part of Ukraine towards Poland and on the part of Poland towards Ukraine. All signs point to the restoration of the monument to the Ukrainian insurgent army of Mount Monastir in the Subcarpathian region. There will even be a special working group on the issue, confirmed Senate Speaker Małgorzata Kidawa-Błońska. Asked about the issue this morning, Civic Platform Vice Chairman and the party's presidential candidate, Rafał Trzaskowski, avoided the topic. I would deal with Putin right now because that is the most important thing right now. Everyone agrees in this case, however, that the question was not about that. So at the next meeting, we continued to ask Rafał Trzaskowski, who began to argue that the renovation of the monument was to be agreed to by the Polish President Andrzej Duda. This declaration was made by President Duda as far as the renovations are concerned, and also this plaque, which was restored during the Law and Justice era. So ask Law and Justice politicians about it. Are you smiling, sir? One should prepare well. And again, true, good preparation is the basis. So we went on to ask where the President of Warsaw gets his information. Here is the article that I printed out especially for you. Do you see it? But do you see? Look at the article. So here's an article that says exactly that this plaque was restored in 2020. Who was in power then, remember? And on whose initiative? Please let us read for ourselves. Then let's read the Kresy.pl portal text from 2021. And indeed, the plaque on the monument in question was restored. And the president of the Ukrainian equivalent of the Institute of National Remembrance, Anton Dobrovich, believed that the entire monument should be restored. Then let's read on. July 2023. The same Anton Dobrovich attacks Poland for not restoring the Ukrainian insurgent army monument. You have to admit that the difference between the plaque and the monument is diametrical. Local residents strongly disagree with the renovation of the monument to the persecutors of their ancestors. Commemorating murderers is what I think should not be there. I simply lack words. I don't know how to describe it. A big, unbelievable mistake. This is mockery, that's all. The Civic Platform candidate, understanding what tendency prevails in the public space, simply aligned himself with it. On the other hand, if you ask me whether I am in favour of restoring Ukrainian insurgent army monuments, I am against it. Well, Rafał Trzaskowski needs to come to an agreement within his own party, of which he is vice chairman, as to what their position is. Karol Nawrocki, on the other hand, has no doubts about the unequivocal condemnation of the Ukrainian insurgent army, saying clearly, first Ukraine must account for its past, and only then may it join NATO and the European Union. Until our issues are resolved, including the exhumation of the victims of the Volyn genocide in Ukraine, I do not see a future for Ukraine in the European Union and NATO. This statement was instantly manipulated by Rafał Trzaskowski's staff. Karol Nawrocki, that is a man who was prosecuted with a Russian arrest letter for removing Soviet monuments, began to be created against all logic as a pro-Putin politician. I have a question for you, Mr. Nawrocki. Are you in favour of Ukraine being part of Russia and not part of the West? What's worse, Rafał Trzaskowski's dirty political campaign was joined by Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky, who attacked the Civic presidential candidate. Mr. Nawrocki should start practicing now, because he may have to take up arms. Poland has stood firmly behind Ukraine from the beginning. Ordinary citizens took in millions of refugees, and the state rushed in with instant humanitarian and military aid. When Poland did what it could at the beginning of the war, Germany donated 5,000 helmets after much effort.
Ukraina sobie nie poradzi bez Polski.
Ukraine cannot cope without Poland. There would not have been this visit by President Zelensky had it not been for the attitude of Poland under the united right in the first months after the full-scale Russian invasion in February 2022. Volodymyr Zelensky needs to remember this every day. Experts estimate that Germany, which like Donald Tusk has managed to subjugate Volodymyr Zelensky, is responsible for the Ukrainian president's rhetoric. Germany has taken a whole series of measures to influence Ukraine, and there is also the obvious question of the huge investments Germany has made to take control of Poland. It is our moral but also patriotic duty to support the struggling Ukraine, because the hunger of imperial Russia is insatiable. However, building a common future is only possible on reckoning with the past. Therefore, glorifying genocidal troops is unacceptable. Cheers and a sense of relief. The end of the war and the agreement of both sides to a ceasefire. We are now facing a new phase in our proud Gaza Strip, which is a phase of construction, a phase of removing the effects of aggression, a phase of solidarity and compassion, through which we affirm to the world that we are a free nation that builds, not destroys, and rebuilds what the occupation destroys. The confirmation came from Washington itself. President Biden, in his last speech before bidding farewell to the White House, declared success.
After 8 months of nonstop negotiation, my administration, a ceasefire and a hostage deal has been reached by Israel and Hamas.
According to commentators, the two sides were forced into peace talks primarily by one factor: President-elect Donald Trump, who has made it clear to the world what he will do if a ceasefire is not reached by the time he takes office.
If those hostages aren't back, I don't want to hurt your negotiation. If they're not back by the time I get into office, all hell will break out in the Middle East. And it will not be good for Hamas, and it will not be good, frankly, for anyone. All hell will break out.
The conclusion of the truce was commented on worldwide, from Beijing to Moscow to Western capitals. Only one place remained quiet. Tel Aviv's silence was surprising, but around noon, everything became clear.
I won't be sharing any of the details on air with you right now, but the Prime Minister's our office statement has said that there remains disagreement. Some things which we thought were agreed have been changed, and until the agreement is finalised, again, with this jihadi organisation, not famous for making agreements, plus we're in the Middle East, where in the last minute people try to get the best deal for themselves. This deal cannot be brought to Israel's cabinet to vote on until it is finalised.
The terms of the ceasefire, at least those known to journalists, include the withdrawal of Israeli soldiers from parts of the Gaza Strip, a halt to bombings, and the opening of humanitarian channels. On the other hand, Hamas was to agree to release hostages taken in the attack on the 7th of October 2023. Both sides, the Netanyahu government and Hamas, are discredited actors in this war. We will only be able to talk about a lasting peace in the Middle East when there are new elites on both sides of the barricade. Only then will I be able to believe in any kind of peace agreement. There are such politicians in Israel, and there are such politicians on the Palestinian side associated with the Palestinian National Authority, for example. The agreement that was supposed to go into effect this Sunday may be off the table altogether. If it does, it is very possible that the war hawks in Trump's administration will come into play, and thus, although it is hard to imagine, even more hell will break loose in the Middle East. At least 2 people were killed at a school in northern Slovakia after a student attacked a teacher and 2 classmates with a knife, emergency services and police said on Thursday. Slovak Emergency Services spokesman Danka Čapáková told Reuters that several crews had been dispatched to a high school in Spišská Stará Ves at 1200 hours GMT. Police said that a student attacked a teacher and 2 classmates. At least 2 people are dead and 1 injured, Čapáková said. The 18-year-old student suspected of committing a serious attack in Spišská Stará Ves was detained a very short time after the incident, the police said. Several emergency medical crews are at the scene, but the number of injured was not yet known, broadcaster TA3 reported. Thanks to the quick detention of the suspect, there is at present no immediate danger, and police are taking further necessary measures to secure safety, the Interior Ministry said in a statement. It said that the Ministers of the Interior and Education and the Chief of Police were travelling to Spišská Staroves, a town with a population of over 2,000 on the Polish border, 376 kilometres northeast of the capital Bratislava. Serious violence is rare in Slovakia, a Central European nation of 5.4 million people. The country was shocked last May when Prime Minister Robert Fico was shot in an assassination attempt.
This is the beginning of real technological Star Wars. American billionaire Jeff Bezos has thrown down the gauntlet to another billionaire and visionary, Elon Musk. But rest assured, this is a peaceful battle for space conquest. Bezos is to be aided in the existing space battle by a new Glenn rocket, measuring as much as 98 meters, which has just been sent into orbit around the Earth. Less than a quarter of an hour after launch, it reached its target. However, this is only a small step for man to further conquer space, because the goal of the other billionaire, Elon Musk, is to build the first permanent base on the moon. For now, he flew a miniature model of a house there. Third time's the charm. After 2 failed launches, Jeff Bezos' rocket has finally been launched into the planet's orbit. The new Glenn rocket survived the worst and successfully reached its target. It reached orbit in less than 13 minutes. This mission is a response to Elon Musk's plans to conquer space. The South African entrepreneur, working with President-elect Donald Trump, also wants to conquer space. His plans are ambitious. On board one of the landers, launched yesterday by a SpaceX rocket, is a house. For now, only a miniature one, built by a Swedish artist. After 4 months in space, it will be placed on the moon. Interestingly, Poles are also exploring space. A Falcon 9 rocket was launched from California's Vandenberg base, with HYPE, a satellite made by students from AGH University in Krakow, on board. Perhaps it will verify, for example, the legend of Mr. Twardowski, who long ago was supposed to have made it to the moon.